Hello everyone, my name is Cheri Dennis and you're watching this edition of Aging with Attitude. And tonight we're going to talk about opportunities that you might want to think about doing as retired folks, or anybody in particular having to do with short-term ministries. I'm honored to have Cheri Dennis, my wife, who is a team leader for MOST Ministries, and I'm going to let her tell us a little bit about MOST Ministries and what the name means. Cheri?
Thank you. MOST Ministries is a short-term mission sending agency based in Ann Arbor, Michigan. It was started about 25 years ago, and the first mission team they sent out went to Haiti. Now we're going to 15, 20 different countries in a year doing that many mission projects. MOST is M-O-S-T. It stands for Mission Opportunities Short Term.
Well, again, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in MOST Ministries.
In 2009, the executive director, Carly Hatcher, of MOST Ministries came to North Carolina and South Carolina to visit with some of the Lutheran churches in the area to explain what MOST Ministries was about, to recruit team members and team leaders, and also to explain how local congregations and local individuals can get involved in supporting MOST Ministries even if they don't want to go on a mission trip. Carly came to our church and spoke at one of our services. During that service, I kept hearing something say to me, I think it was God talking to me, you really need to do this, Cheri. After church, you need to tell her. After the service, go up and see what she has to say. So after the service that Sunday, I went up to Carly and I said, my bag is still packed from a trip I just returned from. I just got a renewed passport, and I just got my IRS refund check. I'm ready to go tomorrow. And she said, well, it's a little more difficult than that, but if you really are interested in this, talk to me tomorrow or send me an email and we'll get you on the list and see what we can match you up with, what team we can match you up with for this coming summer. So that's how I got started.
Well, again, you said that it has expanded over the years from when it first started. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the mission projects that you've been involved with and perhaps what some of our audience might experience if they would go on such a trip?
Yeah. I have been on eyeglass clinic mission trips, vacation Bible school, health and hygiene, and construction trips. Some of the other mission trips that some of our teams have gone on are sports camps for youth. One of the teams that consistently goes to Costa Rica is involved in a sewing and quilting group. And then this summer, I will be leading a team back to Guatemala to do a week-long English as a second language class for a Lutheran school in Guatemala. Well,
now again, ultimately, you talked about the eyeglass clinic. Can you give us just a little bit of idea of what an eyeglass clinic and maybe some of the other things that go on in any one of those missions?
Well, an eyeglass clinic is usually requested. Well, let me start over again. First of all, the mission trips, all of the mission trips that MOST sends a team out on are requested by the local in-country church, a church in Haiti. This summer it's specifically a church in Santiago, Zamora, that has requested an English as a second language camp to be there. Most of the eyeglass clinics are requested by a local church, and they're using the eyeglass clinics to reach out into the community to provide a service to the community through the church to share God's love, a service that's not usually available. With the eyeglass clinics, each team takes down 3,000 pairs of eyeglasses on it. That's about 8 duffel bags full of eyeglasses, as you well know. And we have a set of what we call flippers. If you know what you go to when you go get your own glasses checked, you sit with that machine right here, and the doctor flips the flippers, and which is better, which is worse. Well, we have something similar, only it's manual. It looks like a lollipop stick or a popsicle stick with 2 lenses on top here and 2 lenses on top on the bottom, and they're different powers. So we check someone's eyes by having them look at an eyeglass chart with the hands, not letters, but hands, and we ask them which way the fingers are pointing. We have them go down the line just as your doctor would do in your ophthalmologist's office, see, until they get to the point where they can't read it anymore and where it gets blurry. So then we try, okay, which is better, this set of lenses, and we flip it, or this? And we keep going up or down until we can find out which prescription might be best for them that would enable them to either read if it's something near or distance. So then we send them on to, that's a testing station just for technical terms. Then we send them on to a dispensing station where we go through, we have a piece of paper that says this person probably needs a plus 2.0 for reading. So we'll send them to another mission team, another station in the clinic, and they'll go through all of our glasses. Well, they're already sorted by powers, but they'll go to the plus 2s and they'll pull out 3 or 4 pairs of glasses and take them to our client there and have that person try on the glasses and have them read the chart and which one can you see the best with, which one fits your head the best. And then the glasses are cleaned and they're adjusted if they're too loose or they're too tight. No one on our teams has to have any training whatsoever to do this, because we're not checking for eye diseases. We're simply checking for nearsightedness, farsightedness, something like that, that we can correct very simply with a pair of glasses. Glasses usually in the majority world country, or what was formerly known as third world countries, glasses are expensive. And while there are ophthalmologists and eye doctors in those areas, they don't have them. This way, the church will hold a clinic. They'll go to the neighborhood and they'll say, we invite you to come. We invite you to come to our clinic. We invite you to hear about God. We invite you to hear about Jesus. We also invite you to get your eyes checked. So that's pretty much what we do. And we get to meet an awful lot of people that go through the clinics. And if we're in a country that does not speak English, we have translators with us at each one of the stations who will actually interact with the people that we're dealing with. But if we don't speak Spanish or don't speak Haitian Creole, we have our translators there that will also help us find out which is better, which is worse.
Right. Well, I know that the one trip, or one of the trips that I went on, I was a little nervous about, am I going to be able to do this? But again, you said that there's no real training, but you're talking about just professional training.
Professional training, right. You don't have to be an eye doctor.
But MOST does do some training.
Yes, we do. Usually a team will form anywhere from 6 to 8 months before we're actually going to go into the field. Some of the teams that I take out are from various different parts of the country. A year or so ago, I took out a team that had members from North Dakota, Minnesota, Missouri, and somewhere else, and I can't remember. So we did a team meeting or 2 team meetings over the internet, and we will train them on the culture of the area that they're going to, especially if they've not been there. So they'll get a little idea of how the culture is going to be different and how do we react to that culture. We will train them on the health aspects of traveling internationally, and what can you expect if you run into food that you don't like, or what can you. We also make sure that they know all of the shots that they're going to need, the immunizations they're going to need, what things that they might need to take for themselves just to be prepared if something happens. We train them on our security procedures. When a team is on the field, MOST is in contact with both our State Department and a couple of other security groups whose names I can't remember right now, on a daily basis to know, is there a threat level in this country? Is there a problem in this city that your team and your team leader needs to be aware of? Each team has a crisis management person on it, and we have a crisis management protocol, not just for political problems in a country, but also if someone should get sick on a trip. We know we have a procedure to follow. We know what we need to do. When we were in Guatemala, for instance, last summer, we did have a couple people get sick. We on that particular trip, because of what we were doing, we had to have a team physician traveling with us. He was a Guatemalan and an MD, and we also had 2 paramedics with us on that entire trip. So they were able to take care of the people. But we do have a procedure to follow. So if you get sick or there's an emergency back home that you need to go home for, we'll train you on, this is what we're going to do if this happens.
Now, again, we were talking earlier about that this is short term. This is something that our audience, our viewers, could do because it is short term. Tell us a little bit about what that entails. What is short term? When you say short term, what does that mean?
A short-term mission trip is usually anywhere from 8 days, especially if you're going to Central America or South America, to up to 20 days if you're going to China or India or someplace that's farther away, where it's going to take you 3 days just to travel there. So that's basically what short term is. You're not committing a lot of time. We have team members anywhere from 10 years old to 85. I think the oldest team member that I've had on a trip with me was 86, in very good health, but still, you know, able to do this. It was an eyeglass team. We do tend to, especially with eyeglass teams, tend to have an older demographic with our team members, retired and have the time to take off and go any time of the year they want to go. But there are some teams, for instance, the VBS that we went on last year, where we had a couple of young people, one 15-year-old girl whose grandmother went with her and gave this trip to her as a confirmation gift. We've had younger people go, their grandparents have given them the trip as graduation presents and have gone with them and traveled with them. We have opened up our English as a second language classes and our VBS, I believe, our Vacation Bible School teams and some of our sports camps to children as young as 10, as long as they have a parent with them on the trip. Children from 14 to 16 can go with someone who has been designated as their guardian. Children over 16 can go without having a parent or guardian with them. But there is no upper age limit at all.
Now, again, some of our people might not feel completely comfortable on actually going, but what sort of things can people do to help support a mission team?
Well, of course, there's always financial donations. The mission teams, each team member pays for his or her own trip, and the cost of the trips are dependent on where you go. Central America is usually between $2,200 and $2,400, whereas Eastern Europe or India or China might be upwards of $3,500 to $4,000. So there's always financial donations, because we like to give scholarships to college students who want to study, who are studying specifically for missionaries or mission work. But there are other very specific things that can be done. You can collect used eyeglasses. MOST takes all of the used eyeglasses. My glasses, when these break or I give them away, I get new glasses, or my husband's glasses, we'll take them to the church and we'll put them, we have a box in our narthex in our lobby at church where we collect used eyeglasses. We really need children's glasses. There's a desperate need for children's glasses. Children's glasses and single power lenses and readers. All of the glasses, some portion of the glasses, if we can't use them at MOST, we will send them on to be recycled. And we also have a machine at our office in Ann Arbor that if we have a good pair of frames that come in, but the lenses are scratched or the lenses are of a power that we don't use, we make new lenses for them. Some of the other things that you can do, we have on MOST Ministries website, there are some witness materials that we make, that people make for us. One is a witness bracelet. It's a leather strap with colored beads that tell the story of the gospel, and each of the ones, different beads means something different on the gospel story. We also have a lot of people who will make cloth eyeglass cases, because for each pair of eyeglasses that we give out, we also give an eyeglass case. We don't use hardback cases or the hard cases because carrying those just adds extra weight to the luggage. Eyeglasses are heavy anyway, so we try to use cloth cases, and there is a pattern on the website on how to make those cloth cases. They can be dropped off at Ascension Lutheran Church in Charlotte. They can be sent to Ann Arbor, to the MOST office in Ann Arbor also, and they will see that they usually get shoved down the sides of the duffel bags that we carry the eyeglasses in to use for packing.
Right. Now, I know you can't talk specifically about other denominations because you've been only involved in this Lutheran one, but can you talk about, we've seen lots of other teams when we've been out in the field. So just share a little bit that we want to make sure that they...
The short-term Christian mission industry, if you want to use that word for it, has blossomed a lot in the past 20, 25 years. Most denominations have some sort of short-term mission that a denomination will support, and those will probably be, information about those are probably available on the denomination's website. Many individual churches send out short-term mission teams on a very regular basis. Many individual churches will have developed a relationship with a country, with a church in a specific country. One of the local churches has developed a relationship with a school and a church in El Salvador, and they continue to go back every year in the summer to do some construction or repair for things that the church cannot afford and cannot do on their own. Teach children English, or go down and play with the kids, go down and do a summer camp for the children. There's just a lot of things available if you're really interested in a mission trip. MOST does not require team members to be Lutheran. That is not a requirement at all. The only requirement to serve on a specific MOST Ministries team is that you have to be Christian, because it is a Christian mission sending route.
Well, again, we've been talking about eyeglass clinics this past year when we were down in Guatemala. We did a health and wellness clinic. What are some of the things that happened? What did we do there? Can you talk a little bit about it?
We were in a small village outside of Gualanzacapa, a small rural village, and we invited the women of the village to come to a free clinic every morning. Well, not so much a clinic, it was more of a class. It was a health and hygiene class. We were very blessed in that one of our team members was a medical doctor. She was a young woman and she was very pregnant, so she fit in well with the mothers on this project. She was able to teach the mothers the things to look for if you have a baby or a child. What are things that you need to, what are the symptoms that you need to look for in your children that they need to see a doctor, or they need something more than what you can give them. She brought her laptop along and was able to show some very graphic pictures of the diseases that can be picked up in that area when you walk around barefoot, which is what most of the children do. And it was interesting because that morning she showed the pictures and said, this is why you need to wear shoes all the time. That afternoon when the children came to VBS, they all had on some sort of foot covering. So they did get the idea. We also showed the women how to make tippy taps, which is how to make sort of two sticks like this with a crossbar going like this, and have a jug attached to it, and how to put water in it and hang soap from it and use it to wash your hands. We did some games showing them what germs are and what germs cause, and we used glitter for the germs in the water, and washed our hands in the glittery water and then shook everybody else's hands, and how the glitter got spread around to people. So that's basically a health and hygiene, is just to teach the villages or wherever we are about basic health education that here we all get probably in preschool, if not before.
Right. And again, there was a doctor, but it doesn't really require a doctor.
No, it doesn't.
But I'm sure our audience, we have plenty of people that are retired nurses and
yes,
have some medical training, and of course that's always wonderful. But
And speaking of medic, one of the things about each MOST team is there is someone designated as a medic on each team. A lot of times they do have medical training. They are RNs or CNAs or someone with some medical training. There is always someone on the team, and it is always the team leader who is certified in CPR and basic first aid also. So, sorry, that was a little side.
Right. Well, talk a little bit more about the countries that you've been in.
My first and second trip were to Nicaragua, actually to the Chinandega area of Nicaragua. I was amazed. It was just, Nicaragua was a beautiful country, and there were a lot of volcanoes. So we were in Nicaragua and did eyeglass clinics. The third trip I went on was to Haiti. That was very different. Haiti at that time is, and still is, very devastated from the earthquake and the floods. And the culture in Haiti was very different from Nicaragua, so it was good to go there. Good to see how the church is working there, how God is working there. It was good. It was good. I love to travel, so that's one of my favorite things. And then the next year we went to Paraguay, which is in South America, so it was a little bit farther trip. Again, Paraguay has. We went to Asuncion and stayed there for a day. It's a very big city. It's a metropolitan city. And then we flew to the other side of Paraguay, and we're in Ciudad del Este. Again, we were there at the request of the church there, and they helped us. They do all of the witnessings. Each one of the eyeglass clinics involves some sort of Christian witnessing. It is most often done by the local church because they speak the language. So we get to sit around and interact with fellow Christians that just happen to speak a different language. Last summer we did VBS, health and hygiene and construction in Guatemala. I also did an eyeglass clinic down there, and this coming summer we are going down to Santiago Zamora in Guatemala to do English as a second language for an elementary school.
Well, again, talk a little bit about, you said that there's translators, interpreters. I thought they were wonderful young people. Talk a little bit about these wonderful people that helped.
They were. Most of the time we have the translators that we have are from the church or somehow affiliated with the church. Now, this is a job for them, and so they are paid. This is not volunteer. They are paid, so they do a good job. And they're fun to be with. They are willing to share their culture, their language, the things they do in their country, and most of the time, well, in fact, all the time I've been on a trip, they've talked about their country and how much they love their country and the things that are special about their country. Two of the people from Guatemala are Facebook friends of mine, so I'm able to keep up with them and the antics and the things that they're doing as they continue their education. And we are there for a purpose. We are there for a purpose. We are there for a purpose to help the local church spread the good news of Jesus Christ into the community. But we're also there to enjoy meeting the people and seeing the culture, and the translators are great.
Well, again, that was going to be one of my next questions. It's not all work. There is some time to see the country. Talk a little bit about some of the places that you went to visit while you were in some of these countries.
In Nicaragua, we visited one of the volcanoes there, one of the active volcanoes. Luckily, it was only spewing steam and nothing else at that time. But boy, the sulfur smell was strong. That was something I never realized about volcanoes. We visited the coast and had dinner at a little outdoor restaurant where we just enjoyed watching the coastline there, which is different than what we see here in Charlotte, at least, when we go to the Atlantic Ocean. In Paraguay, we went to one of the waterfalls. Falls of Monday is what it says. It's not Monday as in day, but it's Falls of Monday. Absolutely beautiful, gorgeous waterfalls on the border of Paraguay and Brazil. We also went across the dam, the hydroelectric dam, one of the largest in the world that goes between Paraguay and Brazil. In Haiti, where we stayed in Jacmel, Haiti, was on the southern coast of Haiti. So we spent some wonderful time sitting out on our patio, viewing the little bay that we stayed on. Haiti, and then we drove from Jacmel to Port-au-Prince, and the middle of Haiti up through there, what they would call mountains. It's actually beautiful country, the flowers and the green and all the, I don't know, just the little roads and the little villages you passed. Last summer in Guatemala, we were able to tour Antigua, the colonial city. So.
Well, I know in Haiti they didn't have a lot of bridges because of the earthquakes, and so we got a chance to ford a number of rivers,
right,
to get to some of these isolated locations that we did clinics.
Yeah, we did an eyeglass team out in a small village in the middle of nowhere in the southern part of Haiti, and to get there we took what do they call that, some sort of truck with an open bed in the back and just sort of forded through the river, and luckily it was low enough that they could get through, but it gave new meaning to over the river and through the woods.
Well, again, getting back to some of the different missions, we've talked about English as a second language. We've talked about Vacation Bible School. I guess, and eyeglasses. But again, what are some of the things some of the takeaways that you have from the times that you've gone, cultural-wise, and the people, just your impressions?
Well, I personally have definitely taken away that we don't have everything right here in the United States, that there are other cultures and other countries that do things and do them well. I've taken away friendships that will last, even if they are on Facebook, they will last, not only with the people in the other countries, but with our team members. I've taken away, for me personally as a team leader, I have learned a lot about enabling people to use their gifts and telling them, this is what I would like you to do. This is your position on the team. You run with it. And seeing how they've just blossomed using the gifts that God has given them.
Well, again, we thank you, Cheri, for coming on and sharing a little bit about this ministry. One of the things that I found being part of this is the wonderful hospitality that was afforded by so many people that had so little, but when they were with us, whatever they had, they made available to us. And you realize that kindness is not something that's just here in the United States or anywhere. Kindness is a quality in so many different places. So we thank you for being here and being part of this program. And again, think about volunteering.